INFJs may be quiet during conversations about playing stupid when they are among particular individuals. However, when given the chance to describe their unconventional beliefs, they are prone to receiving criticism from their fans and making enemies among their allies. Here are 10 reasons why people find the unconventional beliefs of a true INFJ offensive. Number 10. Some individuals lack a range of experiences. It's easy to understand why some people dislike the INFJ's unorthodox viewpoint. They simply can't connect with it. They haven't yet had those experiences or seen those visions, thus they are unable to understand what the INFJ was trying to convey. A societal injustice may make an INFJ rage about it. But because of that, they annoy closed-minded, privileged, and entitled people. They receive criticism, hostility, and prejudice in place of their support, due to the fact that not everyone can relate to their varied experiences. People who reside on one end of a spectrum neglect to take into account the circumstances of those who reside on the other. It doesn't necessarily follow that something didn't exist just because no one knew it did. And the INFJ's job is to introduce others to the various spectrums of this cosmos. Do you, as an INFJ, irritate people with your varied viewpoints? Number 9. People despise those who challenge their worldview. Bias, religious fanaticism, prejudice, homophobia, racism, and xenophobia are fostered by the incapacity to critically evaluate one's ideas and be open to alternative viewpoints. When someone has already formed an opinion, it is tough for them to change, improve, or modify it. These individuals discount the possibility that their reasoning might be flawed and that they may have all along adhered to incorrect principles. When someone gives them advice or introduces them to sounder logic, they become offended. And because INFJs enjoy challenging others' perspectives and casting doubt on their beliefs, it's not surprising that they irritate a lot of people. Even when they don't want to, their genuinely interested questions that challenge people's worldviews can come across as impolite confrontations. Number 8. They speak too bluntly. Because INFJs don't seem to give a fig about how people perceive or assess them. They have no problem challenging their friends, coworkers, bosses, or even colleagues about their dubious opinions. Despite the fact that they never intended to insult and wound these people's egos, they did so anyhow. They still receive criticism for their directness and unsuitable behavior. Sadly, this leads the INFJ to suppress their worries and thoughts. They tend to conceal their complexity and unconventional opinions out of concern that they will be misinterpreted. Despite the fact that some individuals can respect the INFJ's directness, such honesty cannot not but anger the narrow-minded. They never anticipate the INFJ's confrontations and choose to ignore them rather than returning their candor and directness. They reject them because they are nasty. Do you consider this to be fair as an INFJ? Number 7. They are so logical that they are overwhelming. Because they tend to be quiet during conversations, INFJs are frequently undervalued for their intelligence and fluency. However, the more they downplay their abilities, they will overpower them more and more. As soon as the INFJ expresses their ideas and reveals their unconventional viewpoints, everyone will be shocked when they realize how logical the INFJ is. When INFJs express their unconventional viewpoints, traditional ideas, and logic-based thinking, they'll unwittingly set off people who misjudged them. People never imagined that they could be as clever and wildly complex as they are. They anticipated that the conversation would be mostly amicable and according to established procedures. But the INFJ interrupted it when they arrived. Number 6. Conversations are no longer dominated by superficial people. Sometimes the INFJ's unconventional beliefs can offend people easily, because they are no longer given the opportunity to speak for them. The INFJ is already in the spotlight, and everyone begins to shift their focus away from mediocrity. Simply put, those who lack depth and complexity envy INFJs. They wished they could draw out equally intriguing and alluring concepts. They can perceive the world similarly to INFJs because they can only focus on the mundane. INFJs often draw attention from their listeners by articulating concepts that defy rationality and describing their outlandish views. From that point on, none of the noisy, superficial folks can talk again. Do you, as an INFJ, believe it is necessary for others to feel that way about you? Number 5, they are incomprehensible to others. Because of their complicated nature, deep reasoning, and unusual thinking, INFJs are frequently misunderstood by the general public. However, some people make sincere efforts to understand the INFJ's logic and reasoning, instead of simply discarding them for their offending beliefs. Some people make an effort to understand their motivations. These are the individuals who are able to understand the perspectives of the INFJ and discover their origins. Regardless of how baffling their logic seems, these people can relate to and comprehend the INFJ. However, some people simply seem to care. They promptly reject and invalidate the INFJ's thinking the moment they realize it is difficult to understand. Number 4, any belief that doesn't coincide with their own is mocked by people. The issue with society is that it stigmatizes anything that doesn't follow its norms. Anything that appears to be different from what it has ingrained is invalidated by it. Discussions, dialogues, and arguments that don't seem to support or add to what they already believe in tend to be quickly abandoned by some people. They ignore anyone who tries to challenge their vision, because they would only find things that support them fascinating. The majority of these people have narcissistic tendencies, only value ideas that agree with their own, and enjoy compliments from others. Also due to the fact that INFJs don't tend to confirm others' beliefs. Narcissistic people typically despise them, yet they're accepted so broadly that they're not normally hated. When they weren't, they would criticize them for being excessively disobedient, hard-headed, and stubborn. Are you glad to be a nonconformist as an INFJ if they are simply nonconformists? Even when it appears that people are mocking your views, do you still have pride in them? Number 3, they appear to discredit others. INFJs frequently offend people with their unusual standards, mainly due to the fact that it is socially awkward. They could come off as if they disprove others' assumptions. The INFJ, however, never aims to achieve that. They simply want to investigate and enhance people's viewpoints on various subjects in order to make the world a better and safer environment for the majority of people. The sole means of eliminating intolerance, prejudice, religious fundamentalism, racism, and other dubious views is to persuade people to hold different views. Simply said, INFJs don't reject or invalidate the beliefs of others. They simply want to make them better. Number 2, they are aware that they will be trapped. Some people are already aware of how flawed their argument is, while others are not. But regrettably, they still refuse to alter or improve their worldview, because they are proud. Some people deliberately misunderstand INFJs because they want to stay in their comfort zones. They prefer to stick with what is known and the status quo, as the INFJ's outlandish ideas can force them to doubt their own knowledge and experience. People don't always desire to get better, because they are reluctant to admit when they are mistaken. As a result, avoid having talks with the INFJ that are both intellectually fascinating and demanding. They find it simpler to scorn and ridicule them. Would you still want to debate with traditional people after learning this? Number 1, some people have narrow minds. The INFJ's unconventional opinions may offend people greatly. Truth be told, the INFJ isn't really the problem. Instead, it is with those who are unwilling to broaden their horizons and consider alternative viewpoints. These individuals prefer to adhere to their preconceived notions regarding particular concepts. They are unable to accept the fact that there are other valid points of view in this large and varied universe. The issue with most traditional individuals is that they believe their viewpoints to be the only ones that matter, and that everyone else is mistaken. Additionally, INFJs have a propensity to introduce new interpretations of realities and truths. They typically irritate people with rigid, irrevocable beliefs who are closed-minded. They frequently disagree with those who are resistant to learning new techniques. INFJs are aggressive, but they also won't quiet their logic if everyone tells them they're wrong. The INFJ has a history of having strong convictions about their beliefs. But the issue with society is that it scorns and rejects anything that doesn't fit its mold. Do you believe you can challenge preconceptions as an INFJ? What other advantages do your unconventional beliefs provide you with?